Hello and welcome to our first episode of Dorks, presented by the Commoners of D&D. I am Seth Templin. I'll be your co-host, and I am joined tonight by
Dustin Foltz, and I'll be here too. We're going to talk about some Magic the Gathering.
It's been something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. Dustin knows so much about Magic, and I am trying to get back into it more. Well, it seems like it to me.
Yeah.
So I hope that we'll be able to learn more together, that we'll have some fun conversations. This is going to just kind of be, I want us to have fun. I want us to talk about cards. I want us to talk about decks. I want us to talk about sets. I want us to just talk about all of Magic the Gathering that we can every week or two or three or whatever we feel. You know, it's just something to add for the brand. But Justin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
We're recording at 10 o'clock at night because my family is super loud, and this is the only time that I have quiet. So hopefully this works out. We got AJ lurking in the background trying to record for us. We're going to see if it works out. But we're going to start off with something that we might not do every time, but we're going to do today for our first one. I have 3 cards that I want to see if Dustin can figure out with a few clues. Have you ever seen this kind of game, Dustin, on where people guess the card? Well, I'm going to do it a little bit different.
It's usually guess the card, name the card, get the card, and you see it like card shops do it with their attendance.
Right.
But so I know of it.
Well, I'm just going to tell you a couple of little clues, and the more I tell you, the easier it should get for you, I think.
Right.
Okay. So the first clue is a green card.
Okay.
That 1 mana. Down. Yeah, 1 mana.
Okay.
And now, it has to do...
I don't always know the names, but if I know what the effect and pretty much the general consists of the card, because I don't always know the names of the cards. Right. A lot of times, because I know if it's a 1 mana green card, I'm already thinking about the green creature that prevents your stuff from being countered.
That's not this card. Not this time.
Okay.
Okay. For this first one, I want you to think about the name of our show.
Mana Dorks. So it's it's Birds of Paradise.
Not
that's
this
Mana
one.
Dork.
That is a Mana Dork.
That's the Mana Dork. So it's probably one of the elves. So Llanowar elves.
Llanowar elves, yes, sir.
Okay. There's also Elvish Mystic, and I think
there's a bunch of them.
I think there's only 3. There's 3. There's definitely 2 Llanowar elves and Elvish Mystic. There might be a third one that I'm forgetting about, but they're all 1 mana, 1 green mana taps for a green, 1/1 elves.
I have my tribal elf deck, and I think I have more than 3, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not the one who would know. You are. Okay.
Well, there are ones that tap for other things, but specifically tapping for green, I think there's only 3. Because there's also Boreal Druid or Boreal Elf that taps for a colorless.
Okay. All right. The next one is a much more expensive card.
Gotcha.
It is a blue mana card.
Okay.
Which are you a blue player? You're a blue player, right?
Oh God, yeah. I'm sitting here messing with my blue-green deck. So you've done green and now you've done blue.
Okay. All right. 3 mana.
Okay. Is it a blue and 2 colorless, or something else?
No, it is 2 colorless and 1 blue.
Okay, that's what I said. Yeah, blue and 2 colorless. Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, you said the opposite.
Well, it's just it taps for. You need to pay 1 blue and 2 colorless. I usually just do the order of the color first. But anyway, that's not relevant. Go ahead.
Tap 2 and a blue is how I would usually say. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an enchantment card.
Okay. Much more expensive enchantment. Is it Rhystic Study?
It is Rhystic Study. I knew you'd get that one very quickly.
It's like Rhystic Study is considered like one of the best cards. It is the best card in blue, and it's considered one of the best cards in Commander.
Next time we try this, we might do the other way where you're asking me questions and I answer you. I think those work a little smoother. Okay, so this next one is going to be a segue into our next conversation.
Gotcha.
But it is a red card.
Okay.
This one's probably the hardest, I would think.
Okay.
You tap 2 and a red to cast it.
Okay.
It is also an enchantment.
Red enchantment, that's 3 mana. Okay. I think that eliminates Underworld Breach. I think it's 2 mana.
Okay. You want to ask me other questions, and I can maybe give you...
It's an enchantment?
Yes.
Is it an aura or just a regular enchantment?
Just a normal enchantment.
Okay, just a normal enchantment. Does it give the board haste?
No.
Okay, so it's not that one. There's a 3 mana red enchantment that gives just your creatures haste. 3 mana enchantment. We're in red. Is it from Tarkir? Because I probably won't know if it's from Tarkir. If it's brand new.
I don't know. No, this is an old card.
Okay. I'm not sure what else to read. I'm not a huge red player. Does it? Let me think. I got my Gruul deck that does things with red cards. Red enchantment's tough.
It affects the entire board. Let me say that.
Right.
Not just you.
Right.
Much more powerful in a commander game. If you're ready to throw in the towel, I can.
No. That's why I was thinking about the gives. So there's a 1 mana red enchantment that it's called like Hysteria or something with Hysteria in the name, and it gives every creature on the battlefield haste. It's very risky. I actually have the green version of that right here. That's called Concordant Wilds, and it does the same thing. It's a world enchant. It says creatures can attack this turn if they can attack and use to have. It's an older card, so it has a bunch of. But basically, it gives the entire board haste. So there's a green version and a red version. But for 3 mana, I want to say that version of it that affects the whole board. I don't think for 3 mana it affects the whole board. I think it just gives your creatures haste. And other things for 3 mana that are enchantments.
Okay, here's another big clue for you. Here's another big clue. Okay. This card breaks the unwritten rule that people seem to follow in Commander. This is a no card.
Oh, okay. You're talking about land destruction. It's got to be land destruction. What? Oh, it's Blood Moon. That's what it is.
Blood Moon, not destruction.
Yeah,
Blood Moon.
Yeah. It's land tampering. Yeah.
Yes.
Completely forgot about Blood Moon. Yeah.
Yes, Blood Moon was the card. I'm super happy that you got that.
Yeah.
And that I wanted us to look at that card because that segues us into. I thought it was an AITA post, but it was actually an Ask Me Anything post on Reddit. It's been taken down, but this is a very interesting situation that happened to a player at his local game store, and I want to get your input on it.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to read the post. I sent it to you. You can read along with me.
Okay.
But for the viewer, for the listeners, the post title says, "Just got banned from a card store for playing Norin the Wary," which I actually don't know Norin the Wary.
I got me either.
And it's an Ask Me Anything. Preface: I wanted to play a bracket 2 version of Rocco Cabaretti Caterer, which is Norin the Wary.
Great Naya commander because he has a built-in tutor effect. He's wonderful.
Okay. But every pregame conversation for a lower power game was denied, so I played my bracket 4 Norin the Wary deck instead.
I was about to say, if Blood Moon is in this deck, it is not bracket 1. But anyway, Go ahead.
I had to face the owner of the store during an EDH tournament, round 2. I played a Blood Moon turn 3 that shut him out of the game as he unfortunately couldn't draw his basics. The game was pretty close between the other players and I, but I pulled ahead with a win. Fast forward to round 3. Before I even pulled my deck out of the box, I'm berated by a person in the pod for playing CEDH, which definitely I was not, albeit a strong bracket 4 with no infinite combos. Anyways, the store owner heard the tone shift as I got annoyed from the guy persisting that my deck was #mean, or quote, in quotes, mean.
Right.
And shouldn't be allowed in the store. The store owner chimes in from across the shop in his pod and starts going on a tirade about Blood Moon and how he's going to ban it in the shop, etc., etc. I say quietly, if you ban cards that are legal, I'll just take my business elsewhere. He didn't hear me and told me to tell him what I said, or he was going to kick me and my brother out. I started to pack my things because I didn't want to play in a hostile environment. And I tell the table, my brother included, that I'm leaving. And he again didn't hear me and proceeds to say, "You're just an effing a-hole. Get out of my store, you're banned." I asked him for the participation prize that we had paid for, a single pack, albeit I was undefeated at this point. He refused to give us what we had paid for and cursed my brother and I out of the store, an absolute embarrassment of a shop owner.
Absolutely. That's
so what
insane.
are your thoughts on this?
Absolutely unacceptable. First off, it's like he didn't break any rules. I've dealt with like extremely salty players during. First off, when you're playing for a prize, unless there's an understood power level, which is, I will say, the one thing that the bracket system does help players with, because they always talk about Commander as a casual format, and they're like, be sure to have that rule zero conversation. Let me tell you something. Nobody has that rule zero conversation. The people in the shop that have that understand Magic and like to brew and don't just have the one deck, they're the ones that you got to watch out for the most, because they'll kind of get a consensus from everybody. They'll be like, what's everyone playing tonight? And then they'll listen. And if there are certain people there that they know only plays like this, like we have some twins that go to our card shop every now and then. They both play really strong. They only play, I think one of them plays 3 decks, the other plays 2. They're all very strong decks. They're not weak at all. Maybe the kid that has 3, he has 1 deck out of the 3 that's actually not tier bracket 4, basically, with using the bracket system as a power judge. So basically, the more experienced players will judge the room, and then they'll usually play something according. So if there's a lot of like lower tier players that are going to be in the tournament, they'll usually grab something lower tier. They'll be respectful. But yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. I had a player who I like combo. Most of my decks have the ability to potentially win out of nowhere. And, oh, man, that makes people mad. And I've had people get upset with me. I'm like, look, this is for a tournament. Like, this has a prize. I'm here to win. I'm not here to just shoot the breeze with you. And I've had very tough conversations with people before. I don't get too irate because, I mean, I'm there to have fun. If it comes down to it, I'll just leave. But I have people that just get really upset. It's so stupid because, first off, it's a game. And if it's a tournament, that means that you need to be prepared to play at the level of the tournament. If you can't, then you need to get ready to get stepped on, because my Kennen deck is really powerful. It is not CDH. It is not as good as some of the Kennen decks out there. But Kennen is a naturally powerful commander, and I built the deck to be powerful. I like combo. It's what I really fell in love with when I started playing Magic again, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that's what most of my decks have, what's called a shell, where there's a combo shell in there, and if that shell shows up, you are in a lot of danger. Like it doesn't matter where I'm at in the game. If I can pull off the shell that's in most of my decks, you're gonna have a bad time, or I'm gonna have a good time. One or the other. And yeah, that's ridiculous. That card shop owner should be ashamed of himself.
Well, here's the question I wanted to ask you. Since you're lucky to have a local game store that you get to go to, and you're part of the community. Is it normal for a store owner to join in on a tournament and play?
Oh, tournament? No.
So yes, he is putting on a tournament. He is then playing in that tournament. So apparently, like, if you're having a tournament, you assume that there are prizes to win. It's kind of messed up to be the one providing the prizes and then also playing for the prizes. Like, so I mean, that kid was winning. And that guy got mad and kicked him out before the tournament was over. So, that kid
and not giving him prize support, it's completely unacceptable. I do think we've had tournaments where our store owner has participated in, but I could check with him on this so I know I'm not lying. But I want to say anytime he has won, and I don't think, like I said, he doesn't compete very often. It's very, very rare. It's usually because we have like 7 people. Like, that would be a reason where he would compete in the tournament.
Need an extra person.
And we want 2 4-man pods. And even then, I want to say if he ever has won, and he usually doesn't, because he would be considered one of the better players in the shop, so he usually gets people that that come down on him. And he also likes a deck that's, if it gets rolling, it's really, really good. But if it doesn't get rolling, he's just going to die slowly. He likes me and him actually share a common interest in Godzilla. and he has all of the Magic the Gathering Godzilla cards, and he has a mutate deck that he likes to run.
That's
and if the deck gets rolling, it is savage. I've seen it win. I've seen it do some serious damage. But it's also a 5-color deck. So, if it doesn't get rolling, and it's not CDH, so it's not like he's running all of the dual lands and all the fetch lands and all the shock lands. Like, he's not running all that. It's not it loses a lot of consistency because of that. But I want to say that's the only time he's ever competed. And even then, I could ask him. I don't think he's ever taken the prize support. I think if he won, he gives prize support to whoever comes in second. Because he's the shop owner, I don't even think he paid. It's not like he puts money into the store to cover his entry fee. It's his store. I don't even think he takes prize support. I think he gives it to second place. So second place is the one that gets the prize support. He's the winner. Absolutely, that's fine. That's fine. Because one of the reasons is
really, if he's willing
go ahead.
To pay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying,
if he's even willing to pay like an entry fee, then. As long as you're not doing anything gross, like kicking someone out because they're undefeated and you didn't like their deck. I really don't have much of a problem with a store owner joining in, but it is a conflict of interest because they have power over everybody.
Right. I would say the biggest reason it would be like going to any other formal tournament and the judge is also a player competing in it. Because usually the shop owner, no matter what's going on, they have the final say. If there's a rules dispute and you can't get a clear can't get a clear answer, it's usually what you ask the shop owner. He just makes an on-the-site decision. Even if it's wrong, it's essentially like a DM with a game of D&D. The DM can be wrong, but if that's the decision you agree to in the moment, that's the decision you agree to in the moment, and you move on with it. It's we're not perfect beings. Everybody's flawed, makes mistakes. So it's just you just do the best you can, and you go forward with that. So that's
having
the
that non-partisan. Who's not in it, who's not on the line to win. Like, I don't know what this prize was. Participation was just a single pack. But
it depends on the price of entry. Our price of entry is $10. And for like a normal tournament that's not a draft, it's like $10. And we get a guaranteed pack for it. And then if you win, I think you get two. You either get 2 packs or 3 packs, depending on what you want. I think you get 1 pack and a collector booster, or 3 packs if you win.
Well, a collector booster is worth $30. So
not those collector boosters. No, it's the packs that have the same number of cards but have slightly. They're usually double the price. I'm not talking about the new collector boosters. I don't think they give one of those. Or maybe he does. But you only get the collector booster. You don't get an extra pack. Maybe that's what it is. Because that's basically 3 packs to a collector booster, right? Because you assume from them winning that they paid $10. I don't know. It also varies based off of his stock. But so it's something usually to that effect. But I don't think he's ever taken the prize support. But it does create a conflict of interest, especially if it's in his game. Because who's going to be... Yeah. Usually in those situations, he would probably have to have another player that's not the shop owner has to make the call there. And it's definitely something I wouldn't do often as a shop owner, participating in your own tournaments.
Well, he said that he was going to add it to a ban list. So apparently his store has additional cards that they have banned on that premises. Does y'all's card store have a private ban list? Y'all just go WotC has declared banned?
Yeah. We've always used the normal Commander ban list. The only thing is that I don't think that's that uncommon. We don't have one, but it wouldn't surprise me if because you do have to look at it from the shop owner's point of view. If you have like a rogue new player coming in and they're like upsetting everybody in the store because of this dumb deck that they play, they do have to prioritize their financial future. So if you've got one guy coming in and he's making sure 5 other people don't show up because of like the player that he is or the way he plays, you're going to have to come up with a way of addressing it, because as a business, you can't, it's hard to deny entry if they haven't really done anything worth it. I don't really know the specifics. Maybe you can deny entry. I don't know. But I can understand you prioritizing your financial future.
Here's the next problem I see with this, and I saw other people. I actually read this Reddit. It was broadcasted to me, so I read it, and then later I actually saw some YouTubers talking about it. Pleasant Kenobi being one of them. You should check him out if you've never seen him. Very smart Magic player. Yeah, he's British, and I like his takes a lot. But something like the writer of this post says that in his third game he pulls out his deck and someone is complaining saying that his deck is CEDH. So
not.
For those who don't know, well, I know, but technically it should be because you're in a tournament for a prize and you're playing Commander, so you are being competitive.
Right.
So, like you said, why would you not bring the best possible deck? Because you are playing for a prize. You are playing competitively. Like, I understand you showing up to your LGS on a Friday night just to play some Commander. That you don't need a CEDH deck. You don't need maybe a tier 4 deck. But you try to vibe it out and play accordingly. But if you're in a tournament and you have a CEDH deck, why in the world would you not use it? Here's another problem that the shop owner has done. If you're going to run a Commander tournament, decide what power level you want. If you want everyone running ones, then call it a tier 1 tournament, and then everyone is on the same playing field. Right. If you want it to be more interesting, call it a tier 3, call it a tier 4. You have that ability. So like no one can get upset about what you're playing. Like if they're actually it kind of sounds like they were having that rule 0 at the beginning, and like he was wanting to play. He wanted to play a weaker deck, right? Like he said that but everyone else wanted to play up. So he's like, all right, I'll play up. And then people were throwing a fit about it. Like the tournament should have been decided, okay, this is going to be this specific tier. And we're actually like, do you have anything else you want to say about this specific situation?
Well, I do wonder, was this before or after the bracket? Like, this occur before or after the bracketing system?
No, he's talking about tiers or the brackets. He's talking about brackets.
Okay, I was curious about that because I will say, if the bracket system did do one thing, it is finally getting some facet of the the rule 0 conversation. It did do that. Like, it did accomplish that very much. And I will say, even at my card shop, I don't know what the catalyst for it is, but I have noticed a lot more of we're about to do one of the because they do a tournament. They do like a small tournament every Saturday that they can. Usually the only time he doesn't is if there's another tournament that day, like one of the other the card games he plays. But I've noticed that he says you have to pick your deck before you learn what pods you're in. And I think that they had, my guess is, because I haven't actually asked them like what was the call for that. I just say, well, I brought this, so this is what I'm going to play. I bet the catalyst for that was people would look around, they would see whose pod they were in, and they would change their deck accordingly. And it probably just kind of upset people. Like, that's like, you should come in knowing what you want to play, not see who you're up against and go, oh, well, he likes graveyard decks. I'm going to play a deck that has tons of graveyard hate so that I know I can shut him down because he's the biggest star at the table. Like, that's not really right, and I don't agree with that at all. So yeah,
if you're going to if you're going to join any tournament, you're like, I mean, you could have a sideboard, but not in Commander, obviously. But like,
I wish Commander had a sideboard. I really do. Well, it would be nice.
Have you ever played best of 3 Commander? That would be awful.
Oh,
that's the only time you need a sideboard.
Well, the sideboard would be that's the thing. The sideboard would require like you having knowledge of your deck and an understanding of the type of commanders you're against. Like, there are certain commanders that if you sit down at the table, you go, okay, that's a graveyard deck. He wants a graveyard, or this is a commander centric deck. That's where you would want your sideboard. Is your sideboard deals with what you believe you're dealing with. Now, the struggle with a sideboard is that means you basically have to have anywhere from 5 to 10, at most 15 slots in your deck that you can easily swap out. And 100-card deck, I struggle pulling cards all the time because I'm just like, this does what I want to do. Why would I want to pull it? Okay, it doesn't do what I want to do as good as the other things that do what I want to do, but okay. And that just, it's tough. Like, sideboards would be difficult. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. You also have a few cards, not many, a few cards who can actually utilize the sideboard. That is something you do have to keep in mind. I think it's called Spawn Sire of Ulamog. It's an Eldrazi that when it hits the field, it has an activated ability that is 20 mana, and it allows you to play all Eldrazi cards you own from outside the game. In a normal competitive environment, the outside the game only means sideboard. you can't actually pull cards out of your collection. That's illegal. But your sideboard is considered to be outside of the game. When I was first looking at Commander and I was building Cannon and I was like, he's going to have infinite mana, I should put Spawnsire of Ulamog in there. Then I found out Commander didn't have a sideboard and I was like, I'm not putting Spawnsire of Ulamog in there. Because he is actually a card that can interact with the sideboard. One of the only ones that I'm actually aware of.
I remember in Strixhaven there was some kind of a creature that its whole thing was it, like if you played it would pull 3 more from your sideboard. And it was a pretty sweet little card. But yeah, now you can technically run a sideboard that's not going to be accessed during a game. Like you can be like, okay, I don't need this tonight probably. And I mean, even that kind of feels slimy and cheating a little bit, just to know, okay, I'm playing against this person. I can take out this and put this in. But it's a 100-card deck.
Right. I'll tell you another good example of sideboard card as well. Carpet of Flowers. Do you know what that is?
I don't. Let me look it up.
It is a green enchantment that you get mana in your post-combat main phase equal to the number of islands on the field. That is a card that I have a hard time putting in decks because I can't guarantee I'm playing against a blue player. But if I had a sideboard and I was in a green deck, that would probably be in my sideboard. Because if I'm going to a table and there's more than one blue player, Carpet of Flowers hits. I mean, it's good. You get extra mana based off of how well your opponents are doing. Like, it's not bad. It's low investment and can have a really high return on that investment. Like, it's a great card when there's a blue player at the table, or 2 really, because just because they're a blue player doesn't mean they're actually playing islands. They could be playing dual lands or something. So yeah, that would be a fantastic sideboard card. It would probably increase in value overnight, maybe not a lot, but a little bit if a sideboard became legal.
Yeah. I wonder if sideboards will ever be legal in Commander.
I don't know. Maybe if maybe as Wizards it becomes more of a tournament legal format and people get annoyed with like not being able to respond to certain decks. They're basically if there's enough of a request for it that is backed by data, then maybe. Because like I said, sideboard would require you to have an understanding of what you're up against. And I will say at least in a tournament scenario, you should have an idea. You should have access to your opponent's deck list. That way you know they're not cheating. Because 100 cards, I mean, anything could happen and people can cheat. So you should be able to have access to deck lists. So that would validate a sideboard.
Yes, that's the only reason. But you'd have to have your sideboard listed as well. And I think you're supposed to if you,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you have to list your deck, then you have to list your sideboard for sure.
Yeah. And I guess that'd be fair because then you okay, here is my 115 cards, that I have access to play, and people and then you look at other people's and be like, okay, well, I can pull this out, put that in, and I'm surprised Commander does not have that. Maybe because of the fact that you could pull, which there are other cards though. Maybe that's just Brawl. Maybe I'm lying. There's certain cards I saw Covert go blue. Do it with the Professor or something where they played a card and it brought in like some kind of some mana rocks from outside of the game but it might not have been a Commander, it might have been a Brawl game, which is a little different, so I'm not sure.
Does Brawl have a sideboard?
Our consensus,
does Brawl have a sideboard on Arena?
I don't know. I'll look up the video because I can find it easily and I'll send it to you and you could probably explain to me what it is afterwards. So I think we're both in consensus that store owner was a jerk and that guy 100%. Does not. Yeah. Apparently this guy had to take down his post though because he was being harassed by from locals that like were on that store owner side. I did posts of some other people was like, that store owner, they didn't give us our pack either. Like they're pretty scammy. But then other people I guess were harassing this kid so much that they had to take the post down. So you can't find this on Reddit now.
The kid took it down for his own safety, or he took it down because he was forced to take it down?
He was being harassed, so I guess he took it down. I'm not sure. Maybe moderators did it, or moderators did it. I'm not sure.
Right. Okay.
But yeah. But we talked a lot about the bracket list, right? Mm-hmm. And you were wanting to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you so you got into it a long time ago? It used to be called the tier list, right? 1 through 10.
Well, yeah. And everybody's deck is a 7. That's the
It's a
joke.
7.
That's a joke. What are you playing? A 7? Sure.
It might have been a 2.
Might have been a 9. And if you remember my when you were looking at the little sleeves that I had on my decks, I did try to be accurate with it. Like if my decks were good, I put them high. If they were not good or they were janky or so I actually did try that to the best of my ability. It was like a fuel gauge where it was like jank, battle cruiser, focused, optimized, and then CDH. I only have 2 decks that even get close to CDH. Well, 3. Both my cannon decks can be pretty strong. I only have those 3. Like anything else, it's like it can do well, but in a game with a CDH deck, it would have lost before it could ever get to that point. So it's like it's not that. But yeah, so I tried to do that. That was long before the bracket system because I did feel like you should know like you should have an understanding of your power level. The other people around you should have an understanding of your power level. And I'm a combo player, so believe me, I've had lots of hurt feelings before because I had no board state. My turn started, and they lose the game. Like it's not. I don't joke around. Like I like the combos where I can come. I have some decks that it takes 2 turns to set up combos, but my favorites are the ones where I can do everything in 1 turn. Those are my favorite. They're also harder to pull off. That combo that combo I told you for Food and Fellowship. If you have. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. You drop all 4 cards. You win the game. Period. It's because it's 2 mana for Sam, right?
No. Sam is he's 3 mana.
He's 3 mana, so it's 3 mana for Sam, 1 for Viscera Seer, and is it 2 for Cauldron Familiar or 1 for Cauldron? I was thinking 1 for Cauldron Familiar, but maybe not. Whatever Cauldron Familiar is, so that's 3, 4 plus Cauldron Familiar, so maybe a 7 mana win the game on the spot. Because it's instant speed win.
Cauldron Familiar is 1.
Okay, so yeah, so I was off by 1. It's a 5 mana win the game on the spot, but you do have to have 2 of the 3 cards because 1's in your command zone.
Right.
But yeah, those are the best wins.
But as someone who you started off with the tier system, and now we have gone to the bracket system. The tier system is gone. I don't know if anyone talks about tier systems anymore.
Yeah, it also wasn't.
It wasn't good. Are you a fan of the bracket system, or are you not?
I think that some changes need to be made. My biggest thing is the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 is non-existent. I think I have 1 deck that's honestly a tier 2. Everything else is either tier 1, tier 3, or tier 4, and that's entirely based off of the game changer list usually.
Right.
I feel like if the bracket system did anything, it showed how powerful the colors were to anybody that didn't have a clear understanding. And for those of you who don't know, black and blue are the most powerful colors in Commander. They always have been, and unless some crazy stuff happens with the sets coming out this year, they always will be. The bracket system has a game changer list. There's only 2 red cards on it. There would have been 3. But he got banned back in December. It was called Dockside Extortionist. It was a little goblin boy. And man, he was probably the most powerful card in Commander at the time. I mean, like absurdly so. The entire game warped around the mere presence of him. Even in CDH, it was affected. Like in CDH, there's a bunch of 0-drop mana rocks that you could have. You don't play them if you can't use them. Out of fear, somebody else has a Dockside in their hand, and they will get mana because of you. Like he warps the game. He's so powerful. Rhystic Study. Rhystic Study does the same thing. Rhystic Study is a card that you cannot leave on board and not be paying for until you can respond to it, because that person, quite possibly will win the game simply because the card comes down early.
So do you always pay for Rhystic Study?
Oh no. In low tier games you usually don't, but CDH is a different beast, and I don't have a lot of experience in that as much as I would like to. I like CDH. I think it's fun. No one at my card shop agrees with me. I printed off those 4 CDH decks that I have, and I brought them in. We played with them one time. The guy who took the hyper the 4-color hyper deck, that was the whole thing was win as fast as possible. He won on turn 2, and everyone else said that was lame, and then walked away. And I was like, we could play another. It only took 5 minutes. It's like, no, they'd rather take 40 minutes playing a game with multiple board wipes, and it's like just an absolute slog. And I mean, that's fun too. It's exciting, and you never know who's going to win. But it's like the quick games aren't bad either. Like, I don't know. I like it. It's a completely different play style and mindset. That's the hardest part, is without playing it more, it's hard to know what you need to do. Like for me, Mulligan is very important in CDH. I usually keep a hand that I can do something with, but no, you can't. That's not how CDH works. It's about it's about having an efficient hand. Like if you have a hand with quick access to Rhystic Study, that's a keeper of a hand because of, like I said, Rhystic Study warps the game around itself, and they know they will draw cards off of it. It's just a matter of when. So it's like their opening hand, like there's certain things they're looking for, and I've even seen games with one of the CDH channels that I used to watch a lot more. I haven't watched much of them lately, but I used to watch them a lot. I've seen games where they will mulligan down to 4 just because they're looking for a certain type of hand, and they won't accept anything else, even if it takes them out of the game completely. So yeah, it's a completely different mindset, play style, deck understanding, knowing what you're working with. One of the best decks in the format right now is Rograk Silas. It's a 3-color. It's red, black, blue. It runs the partner commanders Rograk, son of Rograk, who is a 0-mana red goblin who can come out at any time from the command zone, and then Silas Wren. I honestly don't know what Silas Wren does. He's just there for the colors, really, more than anything. He does have an effect that's decent. That's not why he's there. He's there to provide you with the blue and black colors. And that deck is the best in the format. First off, it runs, like I said, blue and black. For 3 mana, a blue-black deck can win the game instantly. All you have to do is have 2 blue, 1 black. You pay the 2 blue. You play... what's that dang mermaid that wins you the game? I have it right over here somewhere. She is Thassa's Oracle. You play Thassa's Oracle, right? Thassa's Oracle, it gets cast. In response to Thassa's Oracle being cast, you pay 1 mana. You Demonic Consultation. You say any card that's not in your deck. Your entire deck goes into exile. Thassa's Oracle comes down, checks your deck. Oh, you have no cards. You win the game right there.
Yeah.
3 mana. That's black blue is impressive. And for a Rograk Silas deck, if one of those are at the table, though, like I said, that's the most powerful color in the game. I've seen games where the other people will intentionally mulligan till they have a way of interacting with that, because they know if they can't stop that, they will win before you can do anything else.
Wow.
So everyone will mulligan to grab some kind of free counterspell or some kind of easy interaction to stop it, because they know Rograk Silas will win before turn 3. It's that good at it, and it's that efficient at it. Because black gives you the best tutor colors, blue gives you the best counterspells, as well as Thassa's Oracle, which is one of the best wins in the game. It's just powerful. Yes, and that's the whole thing. Is like CDH is a whole nother thing, and I know of it, but I don't really play it enough to really call myself proficient with it, and that's where I feel like I'm lacking, is I just don't have the play experience.
See, Watsy explains Bracket 5, which is the CDH level. It mentions that it is very competitive and meta game focused. So everyone knows, okay, I'm trying to get that Thassa's Oracle off by turn 3. So everyone has to, that's the point of playing that high of a bracket, is everyone knows. I mean, they probably do have those deck lists, so they know, okay, this is what I'm going up against. This is what it takes to beat that, and that's why they're willing to mulligan down so far.
Right.
So where do you find yourself playing in your brackets? What are your decks that you enjoy playing the most? What bracket are they?
My favorite deck is, like I said, it's still Kennen, but it makes people feel bad because I enjoyed Kennen so much. I made 2 variations to the deck. One of them is a infinite mana, tries to win the game really quickly, and it's as resilient as I could make it. And that's my favorite deck. I love infinite combos. Anything I can do, and I can say the word infinite, and then my opponent says, "Well, infinite's not a number. You got to give me a number." Okay, 17 billion. That high enough for you? It's like it's just fun. I just find it like exhilarating. It's like the idea that I'm a wizard who's in an instant speed doing something like millions of times. It's just exciting. So I love infinite combos. I have several of them in my decks. Because of that, any deck that does run a combo like that is usually going to be bracket 3 or higher. My favorite decks, both of them being Kenning, are both bracket 4 because of how powerful the cards in the decks are. I think I made changes to my second Kenning deck because the whole point in it is that it wasn't as powerful as the other. I did take out a few cards. I think I brought it down to bracket 3. I don't think I can bring it any lower than bracket 3 though. And that deck is fun because it makes the game unfun for everybody else. It has a lot of stacks cards in it. And yeah, if that deck gets rolling, I'm the only one who's going to play the game, and you get to watch. And that's not even the deck I've built. That's the worst. That's the worst example of that. I have an even worse one for not Selesnya, for white blue. I'm blanking on the name. But yeah, I have a white blue deck. It has a slight vehicle theme because of the commander. I'm blanking on the name. I can pull it up.
Not Azorius.
It is Azorius. No. Azorius is the color. Yeah, I was blanking on the color combo. But the commander for it is Shorikai. Yeah. I call it Mean Machine because when I looked up Azorius, I was like, okay, this is a blue-white deck. Blue is counterspell. People hate counterspell. And white is like the premier stacks color. It has like a lot of the best effects or has some relation to them being partially white. So I was like, okay, well, this deck, I had Shorikai there. I'm a big Gundam guy. So I looked up every 2-card locks down the game combo I could find and put them in that deck. I think it has 3 or 4. And they're mean combos. If I get them going, it like literally there are cards that I have Stasis in there. Stasis is considered. Oh, that was my other goal for the deck was to make it. There's a meter that I found like 2 years ago. It was called the Salt Score. It was how salty players judged a card based off the effect it had on the game. And I looked for the saltiest cards, put together the meanest combos, and one of them is called Stasis. Stasis is a card that I have to pay a mana for to maintain it, but it keeps all the cards tapped down. And the way that I maintain my game and prevent you from playing it is Stasis makes you skip your untap step. Everybody skip their untap step. But under normal circumstances, I can't pay for it anymore, so eventually it has to go away. Well, when I have a 4-mana enchantment that every time my opponents draw a card, I get a mana because they can't pay for it. Maybe they can pay for it once or twice. They can't maintain it. I have Smothering Tithe on the field, which says whenever an opponent draws a card, if they can't, that player may pay 2 mana.
You create a treasure. Yep.
I create a treasure. So that means I net 3 treasures a turn. One of them pays for Stasis. And the other 2 I build up and just play whatever I can as slow as I can. It's a mean combo. And I'll even tell players once I get it off, I was like, look, we can play this out or you can forfeit. And I've played that deck maybe twice. I don't play it often. When you're working on the 32 challenge, you're going to have a lot of decks that you're not going to play very often. So I just wanted okay, I hate this guy, and this is what I'm going to bring to the table, kind of deck. Because that's,
we definitely need to, next podcast, we need to talk about your 32 decks, because it's just crazy that you have 32 decks.
Yeah. Sounds good.
What's funny is I put both of my decks, I had to, I proxied a bunch of decks. I've since last night, I destroyed 2 of them. I got rid of the Boros one. It was a enchantment aura thing. And I got rid of that graveyard one, that zombie one. Because I've got Sultai Arisen coming in Monday, and I've got the Food and Fellowship deck. It's a band. I really enjoy it. But I've put these cards in on the mana box, and it's supposed to tell you what bracket level you are. It's funny because second bracket says it's the average current pre-constructed deck. Both the Food and Fellowship deck and that Jeskai Strikers that I've since given to Kyle are not twos. They're considered ones by that app. So I'm playing with much weaker stuff than you are.
That's the point that I was making, is the bracket system, the distinction between 1 and 2 is non-existent. The only thing that makes your deck a 2 versus a 1 is having a spell in the deck that provides an extra turn. If you have a spell that says extra turn, you're immediately bracket 2. That is not a power distinction. Like, there isn't a distinction between
2 says no chaining extra turns. If you can chain an extra turn, it bumps you up to 3.
No. So if I have a card, so there's a card called Time. What's it called? Let me just look up extra turn spells. There's a bunch of them. I freaking had one here earlier. So if you have a card that says take an extra turn, that's bracket 2. But if you have a way to chain that into multiple turns, that is bracket 3.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
So, for example, Park the Water Veil is a good example. It is a 7 or 8 mana blue sorcery or instant, I'm not sure which, but it says take an extra turn, exile Park the Water Veil. So it's a one-time extra turn spell. It's really expensive. That is a bracket 2. That immediately bumps your bracket 1 deck into bracket 2. That's the only those are the only examples that do that. Anything that's chainable, like I have lots of decks that can chain extra turns. I think 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. My Merfolk deck can chain extra turns. My Tivit deck can chain extra turns, and my Marsil deck can chain extra turns. All 3 of those minimum bracket 3 because of that ability alone. But then I have extra turn spells in other decks. I don't know which ones. I think my 11 and Max deck, Friends Forever from Stranger Things, I think it has single use extra turn spells, so it would probably be one of my only bracket 2 decks that I have out of all of them. I think I have 1 or 2 max, and it's because, like I said, they have like Part the Water Veil or something in there, and that's it. I just had it in there because it's an okay card, that's why it's in there. That's the only distinction. So if you have a deck that's bracket 1 and you think it can't compete against bracket 2, that's not true. In all honesty,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think there are bracket 1 cards that can compete against bracket 3 because the biggest jump in disparity for me is 3 to 4, and that's because of the game changer list. Like the fact that a bracket 3 deck only has 3 of its 99. Oh, that's not true. 3 of its 100 cards, because Cannon and those, they can be commanders. The fact that bracket 3 can only have 3 cards from the game changer list. The game changer cards, they're called that for good reason. The list does need to be expanded upon, and I don't know what they're going to do about it. It will be. The issue is synergy. That's where you're going to have some decks that are going to break this bracket. That's where I think this is where people are going to get the most upset, is because you have cards that have so much synergy, but they're honestly bad cards most of the time. A good example is a buddy of mine. He plays a deck. What is that freaking thing called? It's a really weird deck, and it uses a bunch of bad cards, but it synergizes so well with the commander that it's absolutely game breaking. And that's the kind of things that I feel like the bracket system is going to be like. You as a player need to say, look, this is a bracket 1 deck, but it's not a bracket 1 deck. And you just need to be honest. That's where players just need to. This is where the Rule 0 conversation kind of returns. Yeah. High synergy cards will be more powerful than the bracket that they actually live in. Because there are cards, they're most commonly commanders who take bad cards and make them better cards. It's just there's too many cards in Magic the Gathering for this not to be a thing. And yeah, that I feel like is where the bracket system kind of lets players down, is that bad card synergy.
Why do you think people don't like the Rule 0? Why do you think people like? Is it a gotcha thing? Like, I don't want to give my competitive edge away. Like, why not just sit down and have a fair game of like, okay, this is what I'm capable of. Like, this is what you should be looking out for. Like I'm newer into this. So like I watch the professor on Tolarian Community College.
Right.
He plays a lot of Commander games. I watch Covert Go Blue, and they have true, especially Covert Go Blue. Their episode is called Worst Possible. Like that's the name of them playing Commander, and they tell you, okay, the worst thing that I can do to you is by turn 3 I could throw out that passes Oracle or something. Like that is the worst possible thing I can do. That is how strong this deck is.
Yeah.
Like, why not just let people like that? That seems fair. It's just people don't want to lose, so they don't want people to know what they're playing, I guess.
It's sort of there's two approaches to it. One is, what's your demographic for Magic the Gathering? Historically, your Magic the Gathering demographic is not a very social demographic. They're not really, they're not like, they're not social butterflies. They're not out there, just talking to people and being like real sociable. They just like Magic the Gathering, so they get out to do Magic the Gathering, and that's it. So one side is the demographic. People they don't like to talk to people. They just want to play the game, and that's it. They're here for the game and nothing else. So I feel like that's one side of the coin. The other side is when you sit down at a Commander table, especially if you have a deck that you either haven't played in a long time, or maybe you just brewed it. This is your first time playing it. Everybody wants to do the thing, right? And if your deck doesn't people care
want my
more
combo to pop off.
Right, people care more about their deck doing whatever they made it for than they actually do about winning. Yeah, exactly. And I think that maybe part of it is a fear, because usually doing the thing also means you get really, really close to winning. Maybe you didn't brew the deck in a way that it actually wins you the game, but it was really cool and it practically wins you the game. A good example is a combo like with Kiki Jiki, where you fill the board with creatures, right? Well, Kiki Jiki's a bad example because they have haste. But a combo that like just absolutely just dumps tokens down the board, and you're like, okay, I have a billion 1/1 soldiers. I'll definitely win on my next turn. That's you doing the thing, but it didn't win you the game. You still need one more turn, right? Because they all have summon sickness.
Someone can
Wrath of God. Your board is gone. Oh, okay. Yeah. They did the thing though. They're like, I almost won. They can walk away saying they almost had it. And people care more about that than anything else. So it's like, if they're playing a deck for the first time, or if they're new to a card shop or something like that, people that don't know about it, they can get away with it, right? Like let's say you've got a way of creating infinite 1/1 soldier tokens, but you need 2 creatures to stick around for a whole turn or something. Like that's a big ask. If it's a threatening board state that's easy to accomplish, because I cannot stress this enough. If you're a viewer out there, please put interaction in your deck. Everybody starts off for not thinking about that. It's important. There's not one opponent, there's 4 opponents. You won't always be able to out-tempo with a 100-card deck.
3 opponents.
Sorry, 4 players, 3 opponents, exactly. You can't always
unless your deck is really bad.
Right, yeah, but you can't out-tempo them, because so we have this happen a lot, and it's always a conversation that comes up is, if we have players at the table that aren't very good or don't have very, very like good decks, when I say good deck here, I'm talking about the ability to stop other people from winning if you're not already about to win. Then the faster deck will always win in this scenario. And I'm a combo player, so if I'm at a table with players that I know don't interact, I'm as happy as clay them, because I know that I'm okay. I know I can put my combo pieces out early. It means it's going to make it even easier to win next turn. I ain't got to worry about stuff. It's like, if you don't interact, then you will lose. I have one of my best friends at the card shop. We went to high school together. He knows me very well. I'll have 1 creature on the board. We'll have a player who is threatening the entire table, him, and then a player who's new and is not very good. My friend always looks over at my board and wants to know what I have on there. Because he knows if I leave, like, let's use Peely Pala, for example. If Peely Pala's on the board, he knows if I have the card in my hand, I win. So he'll always check my board. It frustrates the crap out of me because I know what he's doing. He knows I know what he's doing. He knows what I'm doing. We know what each other's doing. It's fine. And it happens. Yeah. It's all in good fun. And that's why I don't like when people get upset about it, because it's like, this is a game. It's a game first and foremost. It's like, this is not a way to make a living. This is not a way to make money. This is a game. If you can do those other things, congratulations. But at the end of the day, these are pieces of cardboard. Don't lose friendships over it. Don't bet your financial security on it. It's a game, have fun. And that's fun. I love it. If I can get away with a cheeky combo because no one messed with my PD pile, then I'm going to win. Yeah, so run interaction. It's for your own good, I promise you. One of the hardest things for me to cut in a green deck now is Beast Within. I love that card. It's 3 mana, instant speed, destroy target permanent, give them a 3/3 beast. It is absolutely amazing. And one of the reasons that I run it specifically is because so another thing we're talking about, with CDH is know the meta. Well, in addition to know the meta, if you have a card shop, know your card shop's meta. So I had 2 players, my best friend and another guy who's a really cool guy. He works at the local radio station, right? And they both like Thrun. He is a troll. They use him as his commander. I think it's like Thrun Breaker of something. But the problem with Thrun is he has hexproof from non-green. So the only thing that you can target him with is green spells. And it's so frustrating because they both build him Voltron, which means they just stack a bunch of power on him and they just let him kill you, and it's so frustrating. I think one of the two players have broken apart the Thrun deck, letting the other guy kind of take over the Thrun archetype. But for a while there, they were both running Thrun, and that warped my building strategy. And I was like, if it's green, I'm gonna put Beast Within in it because guess what? It's a green removal that hits Thrun. So green,
commander, so you only have one of them.
Yeah. I have to have it. Yeah, I only get one shot. Yeah, but it's just knowing your local meta is also very important. But yeah, like there are certain cards like their removal is so good and so efficient that I have a hard time cutting them. For a white deck, one of the hardest cuts is Path to Exile. Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares. Very hard cut to make.
I saw a video today, and it was saying Swords to Plowshares is the most commonly used white card.
Mm-hmm.
Blasphemous Act is the red. It's again interaction.
That's surprising for Blasphemous Act.
Yeah, that's the most common red card that's used.
Yeah, it's just
Beast Within. I think was the green one.
Okay. All removal.
Yeah, black was. I don't remember black. Blue was counterspell.
Yeah. Counterspell is actually so when you're talking about counterspells, the counterspell to blue counter target spell, that is the baseline. Never take a counterspell that's worse than that in Commander, unless you have a really good reason. Because honestly, even counterspell, there's a variation of it that's way more powerful called Mana Drain. It's an expensive card.
The video even said that.
Yeah. Counter, because it's so hard when you have 3 other opponents and you're holding up more than 2 mana for the eventuality they're going to do something. You're setting yourself behind. It's tough. That's why the free counter magic is so great. At all. Yeah,
I don't like blue because you're really holding up mana, hoping that you're going to find something worth countering. But if you have a flash, which a lot of blue has flash for that reason, I guess, so that you can play on other turns, so that you can decide, do you want to put a creature into play, or do you want to stop someone else from putting their creature into play?
Right.
But I don't enjoy blue too much.
Yeah. Blue, I like blue. Blues.
Well, do you have anything else you want to say about the bracket system?
Well, I guess just a quick overview. So 1 and 2, not a difference. 3, I feel like, is going to be the home of most players. Most people, if your deck is considered bracket 4, I recommend looking into why and trimming it down to bracket 3, unless you know your deck is firmly a bracket 4, in which case leave it there. I think bracket 3 is going to become the home of Commander for most people.
I agree.
And then I think bracket 4 is just high power, and bracket 5 is a mindset. as well as an efficiency problem. Like a tier 5, a bracket 5 CDH deck is efficient, and that's where like even my deck is even where I kind of like fails a little bit. Number one, I don't have the dual land. I have all the lands except the dual land.
If you took a like, if I just took my food and fellowship, the thing says that it's a bracket 1, and I just upgraded the lands. How much of a difference is that going to make in a deck? Is upgrading the lands?
No, it doesn't make a huge difference.
Not a huge difference.
Well, your deck is 3 color, so your deck is going to feel better. Because one of the worst feelings in the world is I have 4 mana, but I don't have 2 black pips, so I can't cast a spell that would drastically change my board state. That feels really bad. So when you're building it, when you're building a deck, if you have a card that you're like, well, I have this, like I'll use. I actually have an example. Right, not in here. It's called Penum's Aura, and what's the? I don't know. Basically, what they are is they're untapped. They're an enchantment. Penum's Aura is 2 blue and 1 colorless, and it allows me to untap my creatures for a blue mana as well as a bunch of other stuff. And then there's another version of it that's 1 blue and 2 colorless. When you're in a multicolored deck, those colored pips are very important. So be sure you're watching that, because if you can't like efficiently and consistently get multiple of the same color, then I would recommend those being cuts you make to your deck, possibly for interaction. Because that's a big deal in multicolored decks.
Okay, so I got continue with your bracket analysis.
Okay, yeah. So, and I guess that'll run us off. Is bracket 5 is about mindset, number 1, and number 2 is efficiency. Everything in your deck has a reason, a place, and it exists for a reason beyond you saying, well, it's my pet card or because it's funny. Like it's about the deck being efficient. That means running fast mana. That means running good combos, not bad combos, good combos. And then you having the understanding of doing things such as playing the meta, aggressive mulligans, and knowing what you're doing there. That is what it means to be CDH. It goes beyond the card.
It goes beyond the deck, and it's how to play. It's how intelligent are you, and how well do you know your stack of cards? Like,
and your opponent.
You do, and your opponent. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, though. I think that bracket 3 is, and that actually might not be true. People might steer away from the game changers. It might actually be more 2 than 3.
Well, I just say 3 because you're going to inevitably do something else. Like, I think if you have more than 3 tutors in your deck, tutors are really important. They give your deck a lot of consistency. And even bad tutors count on the tutor list.
Yeah.
So if you have any tutor in your deck, then if you have more than 3, immediately bracket 3. So you can have an unlimited number of tutors.
Land tutoring?
No, it specifically ignores land tutoring. So like crop rotation, cultivate, harrow, rangers, something like all of those are ignored. It just basically if it tutors anything other than a land, it counts on the tutors list. But that's been the biggest thing for me is like, okay, do I have like a lot of my decks that were bracket 3 that I was like, I can make this a bracket 1 deck. It usually included me cutting out 1 tutor most often. You know, that was the big thing. In fact, my Golgari deck had 4 tutors in it. Immediately, I cut the worst one that was just kind of synergistic. Cut the worst one. Now it's a bracket 1 deck.
I thought that bracket 1 couldn't have any tutors.
No. Bracket 1 and 2 can have 3. If you have more than 3, it becomes bracket 3 immediately.
Oh, I thought bracket 3 saying 3 game. Oh, that's game changers. I'm sorry.
Right.
Tutors. Few tutors. It says few tutors. Gotcha.
Yeah, and few means 3, according to their.
Okay.
And that is something that I've seen other people talk about with the bracket system. Is it specifically says few tutors, but when you look into it with like apps and stuff, most people are considering that 3. But this is where the rule 0 conversation comes in. If you say, look, I actually have 5 tutors, but 3 of them are 5-mana tutors. Like, 5-mana tutor is insane. Like, it's not really a tutor. No one cares about a 5-mana tutor. A 3-mana or below, that's a tutor. Like, that's going to get you something that could potentially change the course of the game. A 5-mana tutor, we should already be going somewhere. You should be able to deal with this. You know,
the game should be over by the time five mana is being played.
Well, if you're playing a 5-mana tutor, you just burned your whole turn to go get a card that might change the state of the game. You know,
on the next turn after 3 more people go.
Yeah, and if you're not even in black, it probably was a conditional tutor or a reveal tutor. So you have to broadcast to the whole table what's going on. Like, you're not fooling nobody. Black is the exception. Black's tutors are usually card, so you get to go get it, and it's like, well, it could be anything. Just consider what would change the state of the game. I'll tell you right now, it's probably a board wipe.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, it's. I feel like the tutor conversation can be a rule 0 thing. I don't think having 5 tutors matters so much as how efficient your tutors are, and they even like go into further detail with that by putting the best tutors in the format on the game changer list. So it's like those actually take 2 spots. You know, if you have those tutors, not only do you immediately go to bracket 3. But it no longer matters that you have more than 3 tutors because bracket 3 doesn't care about the number of tutors in your deck. A bracket 3 deck should have a little bit of consistency because we are trying to win the game at some point. And I feel like that's one of the biggest problems of Commanders. I think people forget that we are supposed to win in the game, you know. And when you have 3 opponents, when there's 4 players, statistically you should only win 25% of your Commander games. If you're winning more than that, maybe the people you're playing against don't like you very much because you obviously are playing in a power level you shouldn't be in. You should be in a higher tier or bringing something lower tier. You should only win 25% under normal circumstances. In a world where everyone is of your level, I guess I should say that.
Well, as someone who did not mess with the tier, was not into Magic at all during the tier system, this 5 bracket system just seems so much cleaner, so much easier to understand, just better for the community, better for the game, I think. Because you can have those people who are going to lie and be like, yeah, I have a few tutors and they have 6, you know, the best or whatever. But like, as far as, I think that this is just clear cut. If you have these cards, then you are this strong. There's no getting like, even people like you joked everyone was a 7, you know, and some of those people were not 7. Some of those were 4. Some of those were 3s. I don't even know how bad those decks had to be because I'm not part of that.
Well, the real danger of everything is a 7 is you had people that were bringing almost
super good decks.
Yes. Yeah, they were practically CDH decks. They, by all regards, were 9.2s or whatever. You know, they were pushing 9s limits even. You know. And they were like, it's a 7. Like that's actually the bigger problem with it is that people were bringing.
And that's what the bracket system. That's what the bracket system is combating. Yes, it's stopping the people who are just trying to beat up on smaller decks. It doesn't help much the worst decks coming up, but for sure, yeah. Well, we had some other things to talk about, but I think we've been talking for almost an hour and a half. We might just have to get to some of our other talking points on the next one. Okay. I think our first little podcast here went well. I enjoyed it. As we go about this and we keep doing this, I would like for you to, since you are definitely the elder here in every possible way, I guess you are my elder, but you just know more. I would be interested in like you giving me challenges or something or builds to try to do or something like that, just to think about in the future. I think that'd be cool. But some sneak peeks on what we're going to talk about next time. I think we definitely want to hear Dustin talk a little bit about his 32 deck challenge that he put himself through. I just bought a secret lair for the first time. Never thought I'd buy a secret lair at all. And then April Fool's Day come around and I just had to jump on that. So I want to talk about that at some point.
I'm so glad you got it too. It looks like so much fun, the Deadpool deck.
It does look like fun. But we're going to talk about that next time. Thanks for joining us here on Mana Dorks, presented by the Commanders of D&D. We're going to see you next time. Take care, guys.